You're listening to Punisher Waterfowls, the Union 0430 podcast. Brought to you by Real Geese Decoys, the most technologically advanced silhouette decoy on the market. First Light, the best hunting gear on the planet. Go farther, stay longer. And Ducklander Calls, tradition, education, and quality. Built to hunt.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Union 0430. This is episode 163. And yes, your eyes do not deceive you. It is the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Rusty Heron from Heron Game Calls, making the best goose call in North America. There, I said it. And I will hang my hat on that. You are making the best goose call in North America, Rusty. So Rusty's joining us. And it's good to have him back. I don't even know how many times Rusty's been on the show. I'm going to say at least half a dozen now. But this, I got to apologize because I took a couple-week break there. We haven't put a show out for a couple weeks. So I took a break, never put nothing out, been busy. So here we are. We're back, and we're bringing Rusty on for the, I don't know. What do you call it? The rubber? No, whatever. Anyways, lost my train of thought there. Rusty's good to see you, buddy.
You too, bud. Always, always, always. Always great to be on the old 0430.
Yeah, man. Listen, I am so upset that I wasn't able to pull off that trip to come with you, Riley, and Douglas to Saskatchewan.
Of you're a bitch pictures to you. But I didn't have the heart because it was last minute. And you know what? There's always next year.
Yeah. But it was just it was a quick it was a bit too quick for me to turn it on, ultimately was what it was. But really, like, if I pushed hard enough, maybe I could have done it, but I didn't want to put any more stress on myself. So anyways, but I got to tell you, you look like you had a fucking blast. And I think you guys hit it like perfect too in the timeline, right? Like there was you guys just had tons and tons of birds.
Oh, there's definitely no shortage of birds, but I mean, that's, in my opinion, that's the Wild West anyways. As long as you get there before it all freezes up and you're not scared to do a little bit of homework driving around, you know, you put the miles on, you're going to find them. And that's what it came, you know, like I went to an area I've never been in before. I really, anybody that knows me knows I'm really good at last second planning. I don't really plan far enough ahead to be organized. I mean, I usually always have my gear ready to go. So at the drop of a hat, I can stop, drop, and roll as far as grabbing that and going. But, you know, I didn't spend months, you know, on Google Maps or on Onyx or any other mapping software you can find, you know, trying to figure out where all the bodies of water were and everything. Side note, you should, because we found lots of water holes that had no water. So, you know, a little bit of homework there probably would have done me and the boys some real good. But yeah, we basically, I mean, we didn't throw a dart at the dartboard as far as the map to where to go. I just said, you know, I've been here, I've been there. Let's kind of go over here because I've never been there, and let's see what's what. And worst case scenario, we're an hour and a half away from, you know, areas I've been in the past. So, you know, I'd have a rough idea on how to start looking. And I mean, we drove around. We ended up in some real bad land trying to find stuff. If you ever put the iHunter app on your phone and it's highlighted in green and it's community pasture, there's nothing there but community pasture. So don't go looking for ag fields. Pro tip, free charge. That one. But then we come out of that, and I won't lie, I lose my temper real quick. So I was pretty upset that I put myself in the middle of Nowhereville chasing water that didn't exist. But again, I like to last minute 99.9% everything. So that's par for the course. And within a half an hour of wanting to put the car in park, get out and smash my head off the side of it because we were in the middle of nowhere with no birds around. We were sitting on 4 different feeds that anybody and their brother would have been just crazy excited to have the prospect of hunting. And because it's the Wild West, one knock on a door, albeit it didn't lead to permission where we were hoping to get, sent us, in the right direction to potentially get permission from a couple of the other pieces of land that we had saw with birds on them. We went over to the one house, and it was a young couple that owned the property. And it looked like they were having a family party, unbeknownst to me. I walked up to the door to knock on it, and there was like 87 people in the living room. And I'm like, oh, okay, now I really don't feel good because I'm in a. But if you know the West, like, you're not getting out of there without getting invited. Like, it's
good people. Like,
they're just so hospitable and just such down to earth, genuine people. So I asked, as soon as they came to the door, they knew why I was there. And I asked permission on the one section of land they had. And the wife goes, well, yeah, you can hunt there, of course, but you'd be much better off to move over here and hunt here. There's more birds there. You just can't see them.
Wow.
So we went to where I saw them at night the next morning and shot a handful, but not nearly what we thought it had potential to. And I made, I'm not going to call it a pro decision, but I made a decision a little bit more than halfway through that morning that I think a lot of people that head into a new area should make. If you go with a group, if you go with 2 or 3 people, it doesn't matter how big the size. At some point in time, somebody's got to pull the plug on the hunt and go jump in the vehicle and just burn it down, trying to get around to as many places as you can. Don't speed. I didn't get a ticket or nothing. But go look while the birds are actually in the field. Don't wait till, I'm going to pack up at 10, pick decoys up. Next thing you know, it's 11:30. Hey, let's go scouting. No, don't do that. At 8:30, say, okay, I got into a few groups, or I got into a lot of groups. You guys stay here. I'm going to go hit it. And sure enough, did a drive around the block there. And right where she had told me was the preferred spot, there's like 25,000 birds sitting on it.
Yeah.
The scary part is it was 1,500 yards, 2,000 yards away from where we were hunting in the morning, and I might have saw 200 go to it.
Wow.
Like, it's just crazy, your sight lines and all that, right?
Yeah.
Birds coming off the water. So we hunted there that evening, and it was the craziest white goose hunt I've ever had in my life. And listen, folks, people have had better ones as far as shooting numbers goes. I won't even pretend like, we could have shot 1,000. It wasn't like that, but we consistently were shooting at decoying Ross and snow geese inside of 15 yards.
Wow.
Like, you can see them blink. That's cool, right? Like, it was
cool.
fun, right?
Yeah.
So if you've ever been thinking about planning a trip out west, just to anybody listening here, just do it. Or even a trip anywhere. It might not be out west. You might live out west and want to go east. Just do it. Life is short.
Absolutely, buddy.
So next year you got to go.
I know. I know. And I've been trying to work it to get out there next month too. I got an invite to go out next month, and I'm trying to. And I know it's a crapshoot, right? Because once everything freezes up, but I don't really care. Like, I've experienced the 100,000 birds in a roost. I've seen that. I've had, I think I would say our snow goose hunts were like yours. Like, we didn't hit like ridiculous numbers of birds shot, but we were consistently shooting birds, if that makes sense to people. So so I've been thinking about going out in November, because there's still going to be ducks around, because there's still little pockets of water here and there. Because I don't really need to see the big massive feeds. I just want to go out and hunt and hang out with some friends, right? But that being said, you are 100% correct in saying, listen, if you're thinking about, if you want to experience what the West is, because I'm telling you, if you hit it during the time before everything freezes up when birds are working, it is everything that you think it is. I think that's a good explanation of it, eh, Russ? Like if you think it's ridiculous, it's ridiculous because the now when we were out there, we didn't see many Canadas. We were shooting specks and snows, and we got into some Rosses. Not a lot, but the odd one. Um, which was impressive. But for me, it's always ducks, and the ducks are just like, man, it is. If you love hunting mallards, like it's just insane. Bobby Hayes, I think Bobby Hayes was up in Saskatchewan probably about a week or two after you come out of it, and the way he was talking was that this was his first time up there, and he was telling me he was like he couldn't get over the ducks, like just could not get over the ducks, and his what was his line? He was like, I don't know why anybody in Alberta, Saskatchewan would buy a duck or goose call. I have no idea why they would. He said, because you don't need it. You just if you can find where they're hitting, you don't need a call because they're hitting it. You can just sit back and put your calls away and do your thing.
Yeah, yeah, he's not lying. And then to back on that, that's some of the reason. There's a lot of people that think you got to be a phenomenal caller to be a guide,
Mm-hmm.
and out there you don't. What you got to be is a phenomenal people person. If you can call, that's just an added bonus in case you happen to run into a tough day.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's sound advice because you do. It listen, it's not going to hurt you if you can call, but the biggest thing that to be successful out there is a to be a people person and be able to carry on an intelligent conversation with the clients. And the other thing is that you're not lazy because your hunt you're working for your hunts. Listen, I know we talk a lot about out west and we talk about how many birds are out there, but the guides are still putting in some serious miles trying to track down the right feed and where they're going to go and the whole bit, right? So it's just like you said, it's not a given. Like you got to put some work into it. They're there, but you got to
yeah,
go find them.
yeah. And then a lot of times it really is kind of finding a needle in a haystack as far as finding the big concentrations. Like it doesn't need to be a massive body of water to hold a massive amount of birds. That's for sure.
Yeah. How's your season been going so far though, other than out west? Because I know out west was awesome. You had Riley with you and you had Ryan with you. So that was pretty good. But how's the season back here in Ontario been going for you so far?
Yeah, I would say Ducks hasn't been my best season, ever on
Mm-hmm.
the books by any stretch. Early Goose season was really good. And we kind of live and die with our wind direction during early Goose season. I'm not a big go chase a field full of geese kind of guy. I want to go out on water, put my big old spread of army turtles out and try and shoot them over that. So we got lucky and we had plenty of north winds, and that provided the opportunity for us to get out on the big water and hunt the way I like to.
Yep.
Uh, so we were able to do that more so this year than in the past few years, which was an added bonus. Ducks, I've been averaging 2 to 3 days a week getting out.
Okay.
Mm, I want to say, in my experience, right now, our birds are a week to a week and a half late, but some of my other friends are posting pictures that proves that theory kind of wrong,
Yeah.
which is cool. I just know in the traditional places I generally like to go hang out this time of year. Um, Today could be a barn burner, and tomorrow it can be a ghost town, and it should be, by all my logs right now, we should be consistently shooting mallards, and we're
Yeah.
not. That's
No.
okay. There's
Yeah.
more to life than shooting one.
Yeah.
Still what matters.
Well, and the solace in that is if they're not here yet, you know they're going to come, right? It's just
But even if they don't, I'm still
mm,
going hunting, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I'm a little different. I could go hunting for the rest of my life and never take a gun with me and be very content. So,
yeah.
not
Well,
about shooting.
no, well, I think the last three hunts I've been on, I haven't brought my gun. It's just me and the dog, and she requires some work. She needs some extra attention here lately. So yeah, I haven't even been bringing my gun. Like literally, it stays at home. I don't even put it in the truck. So, um, I don't know. Like I listen, don't get me wrong. I love shooting birds. I really do. But still it's a lot of fun when you're running a dog and your dog is doing good work and you hear people, oh, that was a good retriever. Oh shit, wow, she went that far out for that bird. Like that's the sort of thing now that gets me excited. But don't get me wrong, I still like shooting. Still like shooting them in the face, but um, yeah, man. Like I know Benny. I've been watching Benny. Benny's been out and been crushing them as well. He's been doing well. Same deal though, right? Over water, I believe Benny is
Oh,
out.
almost everything we do until December comes will be water.
Really, eh? I
Yeah,
find I
I
just
just
find hunting geese over water is just so much like it's so much harder than no. Well, I guess when you know what you're doing, that you're
no, no,
comfortable.
easy, easy, easy. Um, 9 times out of 10, most guys think it's harder because if you go for a morning hunt, you expect to, let's say, legal shooting time is 7:30. By 8:30, you expect to be shooting birds.
Yeah.
Well, by 8:30, I expect to watch all the geese I might shoot fly right past me like I don't exist. Then
Mm-hmm.
all them at about 11 or 11:30. So a morning hunt for me, if I'm just strictly going for geese, I don't even need to be on the water till 9 o'clock unless the wind's north.
Yeah, fair. That's a good. No, that is a good point. And that's the same with um I'm not a big diver duck guy, but the one thing I like about hunting divers is that you don't need to be out at legal time because they're always moving. So you can have a little sleep in on divers. But no, that's a good point because they're leaving the water at first light. So um you don't expect them back until after they've fed before they come back and loaf that day, right? So no,
It,
that is a good point.
right. So I just think that's where most guys or girls um, just find it hard because they're going to fly right past you 99 times out of 100, I think.
Yeah.
And we and then you'll shoot them when they come back. And usually by the time they come back, everybody else has gone home.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah, because they're like, oh well, nothing happened in the day.
yeah.
I always found that like growing up where I grew up and hunting geese, like there was never really that thought process put into it, right? Like, I don't want to say nobody understood it, but the guys that I hunted with, we didn't understand that they were on the water in the morning first light, then they left, they went and fed, then they come back to water, then they went and fed, and then they come back to water for the night, right? We didn't really understand that. Now I'm sure there were some people that did, um, but it wasn't passed down to us. So a goose hunt, like if we were like we would go all day and just pond hop and walk around and trying to get it. If we walked out with a goose, like one single goose between the three of us, like we were rock stars. And walking back home and everybody'd be seeing you'd have a goose, right? It was a big deal, but it, I think nowadays people understand the process a lot more, and I think that's a lot got to do with, remember in the 90s, well, even I guess the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s, when everybody was doing the videos and all of that stuff, and the duck forums. Like once the internet got up and all those forums and everything, like that was a huge education piece to so many people that didn't have the luxury of growing up on a very established flyway, I'll say.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So then, like guys like now, when since the invent of the internet and the duck forums and all this information being out there and podcasts and all this shit, now the average Joe can pack up his truck and head out west and freelance because they've got enough knowledge now to be able to put them on birds. Whereas, you know, when I was a teenager, if I went out west, well, I wouldn't have had a clue what to do if I was trying to freelance. If that all makes sense.
Yeah, and even if you would have went out there, if you'd have run into any hiccups along the way, and I don't mean like a mechanical issue, like let's just say, like I'll use myself as a prime example. I really don't have any experience hunting white geese. They're a different devil. There's no doubt in my mind. And so mid hunt, I can FaceTime any of my buddies that I know have lived out west.
Yeah.
Look at this. There's my wind. This is what they're doing. Is it something I'm doing, or is it just because they're that smart? And so I was able to do that on every hunt and really quickly make simple moves, thanks to advice given, that changed the whole ball game up. And I mean, we could have shot all of our count of white geese every day if we wanted to. I didn't need to, so I wasn't worried about it. But it's just cool to sit back and watch them work and work right. And that's, I think, one of my biggest reasons for loving water hunting here is where I'm located in southwestern Ontario. I'm not saying you can't drive around and get permission on a farm field, an agricultural field, whatever you want to call it. You can, but if I go knock on 100 doors in the areas I want to go knock on, I'm going to get at least 98 no's. And I know it before I even leave now, because history just keeps repeating itself every time I get excited about knocking on something.
Yeah.
And I'm surrounded by some phenomenal public water hunting opportunities. So I know I can just focus my energy in on that.
Yeah, no, it
and be successful, and it's enjoyable. Like, don't get me wrong, out in Saskatchewan, I slept 4 hours a night, and if I wasn't hunting, I was driving. Like, we put 12,000 K on my truck in a week. Like, we drove.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, if you don't go down the beaten path and make new ones, like,
absolutely.
Something, right?
Yeah.
I drove my truck through a creek that I didn't know if we were going to get out the other side. Like, it just, sometimes you just do dumb stuff for crazy birds.
Yeah.
But when you go out there, the type of people you're going to meet along the way, and they're receptive of people. And here where I'm at, I just don't find them nearly as receptive, right? You can drive through the county here, see 50 cars, nobody waves at you.
Yeah.
Be somebody in a combine or a tractor, they'll wave, but that's it.
Yeah.
Whereas in Saskatchewan, if they don't wave, like, you're doing a U-turn to make sure they're still alive, because they're just, it's a different breed of people. But so I just focus all my energy on that water. And I won't lie, personally, I would turn down a field to go hunt water if I thought it was going to result in the same kind of hunting experience, because I just like working them on water that much better. But it's just a personal thing, right? You like a black dog, likes a yellow dog. Like, it's there's no in field hunting. I still love to hunt fields. I just if somebody put a gun to my head and said, you got to pick one, well, I'm never hunting on dirt ever again.
Yeah. I wanted to go back to that point that you made, when you were hunting the snow geese, and you were, wondering what was going on, or whatever, and you pulled out your phone, FaceTime someone, show them your spread, tell them what was going on, what's the situation, give them all the information that they can, and then they can help you. And I guess for some people that doesn't sound like such a crazy idea, right? Because they've grown up with, so I'm talking about the younger generation right now. So the 30 something year, the mid 20s and younger, I guess, because they've always had phones and they've always had all this technology. So to them, I don't think it's such a crazy idea to say, well, I'll just FaceTime somebody and I'll show them and stuff like that. For me, I don't think I've ever thought about calling somebody up and going, well, the birds just like they're there, but they're just not doing it for me today. And I don't think I've ever thought of calling somebody up, doing a FaceTime and showing them what my spread is, showing them everything that I'm doing, and ask for advice. I don't think I've ever done that. Actually, I'm fairly certain I've never done that. Um, but the fact that that's another tool in our toolbox to get more birds is just, I don't know how, I don't even know what I'm trying to say, really. It's mind blowing that we just continually, as decoys get better paint schemes and they're more durable, and calls are getting better, and everything is getting better, everything's getting better, but still advice with a picture and a phone call, will 9 times out of 10 sort out your problem if you're calling the right person. And I tell you, this is one thing that I have noticed. So two things I've noticed this year online at Facebook. So the one good thing is I've found that people aren't being such assholes to one another on Facebook this year. So I've seen more and more fairly new hunters coming on and asking questions like, hey, listen, this is my spread, showing a video. This is what I'm doing. But the birds aren't doing it for me. Any suggestions? And fellas are, and you know what it's like. You'll get a million different suggestions, and none of them is really wrong. It's just everybody does things a little bit different. But that was cool. And then the other thing is I've noticed is the post about what kind of duck is this. I find they've gone down this year, as opposed to years in the past when it just seemed like every second day there was a bird being shown on Facebook, asking, could you ID it for them? So I think we're starting to find a fairly good balance right now with these guys that were traditionally assholes to, especially the younger generation. It seems like people are starting to, hey, listen, let's just try and get along. We don't have to be jerks to everybody. And really, if I think I'm making myself look like a badass by chewing up some 18-year-old kid, obviously you're not a badass. You're a fucking idiot. So it just seems like there's more openness this year. I don't know. That's just from what I've seen anyways.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm kind of seeing the same thing. The only thing I'm seeing that we haven't been able to get out of the sport yet is we shot a 7-man in 36 minutes. Like, who cares if it takes all day?
Yeah.
You're never, for anybody watching this, and it's okay if you've been a part of one of them deals. It's not about how quick you can get it done. If you're a guide on day 22 of a season where you're quote unquote grinding, right? You're working on no sleep and long hours and making people extremely happy to the best of your abilities. I can totally understand you wanting to have a faster morning in the field than a longer one. It makes all the sense in the world. But when you're a group of young men and women, I'm going to say you're still in school, all of you, and it's Saturday morning. What are you doing with the rest of your day, anyways? It's okay if you shoot them all that quick, but please just don't ever get fixated on the fact that, oh, we shot them so quick. The idea is to go hunting, to learn from your experience while out hunting, and to enjoy the day. It's not, and you're young, if you're listening to me, you think it's all about piles, and really, it's about smiles. In the long run, the piles get old. You know, if you put enough time into this, you'll always have the opportunity to do piles.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the smiles and the memories made over being out there, just being outdoors. You know, heck, yesterday I hunted with my son Riley, and we didn't shoot nothing. We probably could have taken some pot shots and, you know, knocked a half dozen ducks down. But for us, and everybody's their own, I either want them right or I don't want them at all.
Mm-hmm.
There's more to life. If I don't shoot another duck this year, it's still been a great season, nothing to complain about. So just don't make it about a, you know, oh, we did it so fast, we're heroes. No, you were in a great spot, clearly. But there's no, you don't get an A+ because you did it so quick. You know,
Yeah.
you'll get the same mark regardless of how long it takes.
Yeah, I think it's easy for guys like you and I, and who, and by no means am I a goddamn waterfowl killer, but we've shot our share of piles and the whole bit. So it's easy for us now to look back, because I know what I was like um 20 years ago, 25 years ago. Like I wanted it, I wanted the piles and the whole bit. So, and I think that comes with, as you said, um there's a lot of time for piles, and as you get older, the piles isn't the most important thing. And I agree with you 100%. I would challenge, this is what I would like to see on a post. So let's say a bunch of young fellas, girls go out, and they limit out within 25 minutes of legal time. What I would like to see on a Facebook post is, so it took us took us 150 kilometers and 6 hours of scouting, but we found the spot. We found it, and we watched the birds. We did our homework, and we came up with our plan. And then we got in there, and we smashed them, and we're out in 25 minutes. To me, that paragraph, that narrative tells me more about the work that you put into. So listen, don't get me wrong, 25 minutes and get your limit, that's impressive. And I'm not throwing shade on you for that. And I know you're not throwing shade on them either, Rusty. It's impressive. But don't sell your story short by just saying we limited out in 25 minutes. Give me the whole story. Tell me that you had to burn 2 tanks of gas, and it took you a full week of chasing birds to find out where they were going and how they were working and what was going on. Tell me that. That's what I want to read. Like I've seen so many posts about, yeah, we got 6-man limit and done at this. Yeah, I've read those posts a million times, but I never hear anybody talk about the work that they put in to get the birds. And that's the thing that you can't forget. Because if you're not putting the work in, well then it's meaningless. And in my opinion, like if you can just show up at any body of water or any field and smash out a limit, well then that's not really hunting, right? Because hunting is putting the work in and finding them and scouting them, and that goes for big game, small game, birds, whatever. That's what hunting is. If you're just going to any body of water or field, well, then you're not really hunting. You're just going and you're getting lucky, really, is what's happening. That the birds are there without you putting in any work. So that's the stuff I want to see on a Facebook post or a video or whatever, TikTok, what reels, you name it. Tell me about the story about how you got there. How many goddamn gas station burritos you had to eat before you got before you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's the stories now because and again, I don't want to sound preachy and I don't want to sound like I know everything, but like we're seeing it, Rusty, and you see it just as much as what I do of all these new brands that are popping up and all these guys that are full of piss and vinegar and they've got a story to tell and they think that they can carve a piece into this waterfowl industry world, whatever. And they can, absolutely they can. But you got to stop thinking that you just got to post a picture of 50 birds. No. Every people have seen 50 birds a million times. Now the audience they want the story. What set you apart? So, you had talked about the guide. What better way for a guide to get noticed and to get bookings for next year when, 3/4 of the way through the season, he's limiting out in 25 minutes. That's a big feather in his hat because that shows that he's doing the work. He knows what he's looking for and he's putting fellas on birds, guys and girls on birds. So that's, take it for what it's worth. And you don't have to listen to me and you don't have to think I'm right. I really don't care. That's just my advice. Like if you want people to be impressed, and let's face it, that's all anybody goes on Facebook for and social media. That's the only reason. That's the only reason why we're trying to impress people. That's why we have social media. Because you're trying to impress, you're trying to tell a story so that someone will go, oh, that's so awesome. Oh, look, oh, that's a cool logo. Oh, I like their shirt. Oh, I like this. Oh yeah, Rusty Heron call with that logo on it. Oh yeah, I'm gonna buy that. It all links up together. And your social media, that's the hook, right? That's what draws in the audience and the followers and the whole bit. That's the hook. You get them in there, and then that's when they start spending their hard-earned money on your product and on whatever it is that you're branding your logo with. But they're with the internet and social media, there's so many more people that are just like me that have the same skill as what I have, and God knows a lot of them more skilled than what I have. And they're trying to come up with brands and ways to be in this industry. You just got to be different. You tell the story, and that's ultimate. That's a very long-winded way of saying tell the story.
Yeah. Agreed. I'll drink to that.
Yeah, I got to drink to that too because that was very long-winded. I don't know, man. Like it's just I love it. I love seeing it. Especially I love seeing the younger kids, like the late teens. I love seeing them when they're out on their own. They've graduated from going with dad and grandpa and the uncles and all that stuff, and they're out and they're doing it on their own. That's the stuff I love to see. And if I think if you just take the time and instead of just showing a beat down of birds and you tell that story or you show that video of you trying to cross that creek and not knowing if you're going to get across it, like that's the stuff I want to see because I've seen piles. I've seen pictures of piles a million times. I want to see the different stuff now. I want to see the truck broke down at 4 o'clock in the morning and you got to change a tire because you got to be at the field that's an hour away in an hour and a half before legal time, right? Like that's the stories that's the stuff that people want to see now, I think, because we're flooded with pile pics.
Yep.
I don't know, man.
100%. Oh, hey, I agree. Yeah, and anybody can throw the pile pick up. Show me something I don't see all the time.
Yeah, yeah. Like
You know, show me what your group, and let's wind it all back to youngsters. Show me what your group does for food. Right? Are you living on gas station burritos, or you just have a Blackstone in the back of the truck and you're cooking on that? If you shoot your limit in 25 minutes, that's all fine and dandy and awesome. High fives all the way around. What do you do with the rest of your day?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Show that side.
Yeah, like, so and this is, I guess this is the piece, and anybody listening, if you disagree with me, listen, and you disagree with Rusty, send us a message, man, because we'd love to chat with you more on this. But like, if you and your crew, let's say you're in school or you're working a full-time job, so Monday to Friday, 8 to 4, and then you got the evenings to scout. So you got your crew of 4 or 5 dudes, and everybody just sort of scatters to the wind when they get off work to try and do the scout. So you've put in 5 days of scouting for a Saturday morning hunt that you limited out on in 25 minutes. Listen, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, because it's a fucking awesome thing that you can limit out in 25 minutes. It is. It's a great, great thing. But what we're saying is that there's more to the hunt than just limiting out in 25 minutes. So if you've put in 5 days, 5 evenings worth of work, gas, and eating McDonald's and whatever else you got to eat to tie you over until you get home in the evening, and then you're done for 25 minutes on Saturday morning, I fucking love going out hunting. I love being out there with my buddies and chatting and stuff. Like, even if there's no birds, like, we're chatting, we're having a laugh, and there's some questionable topics that come up and things like that. But I love being out there. I don't want my hunt to end, or the shooting may end, but I don't want the hunt to end, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Hey, shooting can be 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I want that hunt to be as long as humanly possible, because we get such a small window in our lifetime to actually hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like Ontario, Canada, September through December. I know we can go into January, but let's just call September to, you get 3 months out of the year. Yeah. Maybe 4. September, October, November. Okay. You get 4 months out of the year. 8 months out of the year, you don't get to do a 22-minute limit.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you, those guys shooting 22-minute limits still wish they were hunting the other 8 months of the year, and they do plenty of things to work towards those 22-minute limits.
Yep.
Right? Like, I want to see the 3 young guys standing inside a 7-Eleven looking at the energy drinks, trying to figure out which one's the latest and greatest, even though they all taste horrible.
Yes, they do.
I want to see that get brought out, like, just to help understand, because I've been there. I've shot them quick. It's cool. But it sends a bad message on a social media platform, in my opinion, and I very, very, very 300% could be wrong on this. But just think about who you might be reaching with that post. You might be reaching another young crew of people that don't have your success. They don't have your skill set. They are very green to it all. And if they shoot one hen wood duck flying by, they call that a very successful day. Your pile pick, and granted, I get that people want to feel good about themselves, so I'm not trying to make you feel bad, but when you're making those kind of posts, I want you to think of how am I helping the sport as a whole with this, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you a bunch of series of all this led to this, you still get to show off your moment, but you also get to show to the people that may not be at your level. Not
That's
that
right.
level matter, they don't, but you get to show them maybe a small glimpse of just what kind of work goes in to getting a
Yeah.
successful that, if that's what you deem successful,
No,
right?
absolutely. Absolutely. Because
You still have your hey, look at me moment and not be pushing somebody away from the sport, because that's the take that I see from it. You know, you're somebody new to the sport, regardless of age. You go on Facebook and every day all you see is they shot 6 men by. If you don't do that, eventually you go, I'm not in the cool club, I'm out.
that's right.
As an industry, we need everybody in and more, like
Absolutely
a
more.
lot more, if we want to keep this industry going. And when I say industry, I'm not talking about me with my calls and making sales. I mean, one of these days the government might come calling and say no more hunting. We need as many people as humanly possible in this sport, enjoying this sport, to stand up for it.
Absolutely.
So, like, for me, my proudest best hunt of the year was this past Saturday.
Okay.
My boys went out in the morning without me. They're 18 and 20, so they're quote unquote young men. But what's really cool to me is they took their girlfriends with them. Now, Riley's girlfriend doesn't hunt yet by any stretch, and I don't know that she's ever going to get hooked with the bug to
Yeah.
hunt. But she went and she enjoyed herself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Ben's girlfriend does hunt, so it was not a new experience for her.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to go out and watch her shoot some birds, which I think is just awesome.
Yeah.
You know, like, so you got two females brought into the sport that both enjoyed their day. Like, Riley went back out hunting again today. His girlfriend went and hung out with him for a while. Like, that
But
kind of stuff is
but the important thing with that is, and this can, and vice versa, right? So your girlfriend's a hunter and you're the dude and you're not the hunter, or fuck whatever, right? Whatever that dynamic is, it doesn't
yeah,
matter. But the important thing is that if you're going out there, and if you're just going out and you're just going to say, I'm going to go out for the one day just to watch it. I don't like it, but I'm going to go out because I care about you and I'm going to go out. At least now you get a glimpse at what that passion is, right? So for Riley's girlfriend, now she can go, okay, I don't, it's not for me, but I can understand why he is so hooked in it. And the offset of that is the fact that at some point Riley's girlfriend's going to be in a conversation with a bunch of other people about hunting, and they're going to be talking shit about it and saying, I don't understand why people do it. I don't understand why they feel the need to do it. And then she's now in the position where she can say, well, listen, I can tell you why they do it. I can tell you why there's that passion and what it is about it that gets them so fired up. And and that's the important thing. That's what we need when you say, this industry, with this waterfowl community, we need so many more because we need those voices. Like my kids don't hunt. They don't. Um, yeah, they don't. Trish doesn't hunt either. And has no desire to hunt. But they do understand that there's food in the freezer because of it. There's jerky, there's pepperettes, which the kids love to eat. They love to eat the stuff. They just don't like going out and getting it, which is okay, which is fine. But that's
100%.
the but that's the thing that I know, that if someone talks shit about hunting where my daughter is, she'll tell him, she's like, well, hey, listen, you don't have to agree with it, but if you think that they're wasting it, then you're wrong, because they don't waste it. They bring it home, they process it, they eat it, or they, you know, they give it to friends, and it's not thrown in the, there's not animals just being shot and left to rot, because
Yeah.
that's not what happens at all.
Yeah. Agreed.
You know, and these are the things that, you know, these are the things that we need to do now, because we are in that society, that day and the age and society, where one little mix up and one bad picture can just fucking balloon out of control so fast. So again, and I'll speak on behalf of Rusty here, and Rusty, jump in if I'm saying this wrong. We're not here trying to be preachy and telling you what you have to do and what you don't have to do and all that shit. Um, we're just telling you what we would like to see. Like as Damian Pittman and as Rusty Heron, as I'm going through social media, I'd like to read the story about your 25-minute 3-man limit. I don't care about the pictures. I don't care that it only took you 25 minutes. It doesn't impress me. It really doesn't. And I don't say that to sound like an asshole. What would impress me is how much work it took you to get that 25-minute 3-man limit. That's what would impress me, because I know in order for you to get that, you had to be sitting on that feed or on that spot for 3 or 4 days watching it and just trying to figure out where's the best place to set up. Okay, the wind is coming this way. All right, they're doing this. Okay, we got to walk in this way. We got to make sure, you know, there's so many things that's going through your head on that scout before you ever pull the trigger. There is so much work that goes into it. That's the stuff that I want to see. Would you agree, Rusty?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you know, we're by no means am I trying to take away from your pile pick. That just, to me, isn't the most impressive part of your hunt.
Yeah,
It's what you did to achieve that. Like you were saying, right? Like if you shoot them that quick, like you've done something right. So
absolutely.
what is it that you've done?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Share your knowledge, man. Tell me, because listen, if you think, and we say it on this show, we are not experts and we'll never pretend to be. So listen, there's an ulterior motive here to me asking for your story, because I'm going to educate myself, and I'm possibly going to use some of the very things that you used on this hunt. I'm going to use them and apply them to my own hunt for more success. And that's, you don't have to give up your spot, but if you talk about the process and the scout and the, you know, the recce and everything that you've done in order to put this hunt together, that's the things I want to know, because obviously I'm gonna take that information and I'm gonna use it myself someday if the opportunity presents itself.
Yep. No, 100%. Right? Like, you know, I can put a situation out there, right? You know, me and my wrecking crew shot a 6 man of ducks, and we were done in the first half an hour. But we sat on this field and waited for an east wind, because the way the birds were coming off the roost, the east wind was blowing away from the roost. So that was important factor number one. But what really was important factor number two is that instead of setting up to shoot them right in the face, where we had to look west and the sun would have been rising in the east, and then throwing a massive shadow from our A-frame blind out into the field, we set up to side shoot to limit
Hmm.
the shadow. And we think that was the difference. That's the stuff
Yeah.
that shows to me how smart you are.
Yeah.
And nothing, if you're not that smart, don't worry about it. It really just means you've hunted a lot and really paid attention, because there's lots
Yeah.
of people that hunted a lot and didn't pay crazy attention. And as long as you enjoy your experience, that is all that matters. The rest doesn't. Um, but that's the kind of stuff that I think plants a seed in somebody's head that wants to be successful and goes, man, the last time we had a field like that, we set up to shoot them in the face because everybody says you got to set up to shoot them in the face. And maybe that's why the birds kept pushing it 50 yards. And then the next
Mm-hmm.
time in that blind, to create a minimal shadow, and then they beat them up, and then boom, eureka moment,
Yeah,
right? So
absolutely,
that
buddy. I agree with you 100%.
I'm opinionated, but it's for good reasoning, not to be
Hey,
a,
uh,
a
what'd you think we created this podcast so we could get on and be opinionated and spread what we thought. Listen, again, like it's not that we're saying we're the be all end all and this is the only way to do it. By no means is that the case, because I'm never above the fact of learning off of somebody else. It's there's a couple reasons why I like to do things like this and say these things is because I want the waterfowl community to continue to grow. And you had touched on it, Rusty, when you had said, listen, if somebody, regardless of age, and they're new to this drug of waterfowl hunting, and if all they see is posts of we smashed out a 3-man limit in 20 minutes. We've got a 6-man limit. We've got if if that's all anybody sees and that's all anybody comments on, then a new hunter thinks, well, that's the bar for success right there. That the only way to be successful is if I'm limiting out in under an hour and everybody's got it. We've got to hit it. I'll be the first one to tell you there's been tenfold of the days that I've come home without hitting a limit to the days that I have hit a limit. So you can take that for what it's worth. You don't hit limits every day. And if you do, good for you, because I certainly don't. So you know what? Just have fun with it. I know everybody wants to get notice and do it. Still post up your pictures. Still post up your pile pics and how happy you are that you got your limit. Nobody wants you to stop doing that. I just want a little bit more information on it because I've seen pile pics before.
Yep. And we, not to be arrogant, we know what goes into making a pile pick.
Yeah.
Give some of those greasy details.
Yeah.
Be kind.
Yeah. Yeah. Be kind, rewind. Well, you just dated yourself, buddy, because there's a whole lot of people that don't know what that means.
You will. You'll
I
figure
do.
it out.
I know what it means. Okay, everybody. Hey, we're at that 60-minute mark. Rusty, buddy, it is always a pleasure to have you on because um the most important is we have very similar beliefs in the way things are done. So it makes for a good chat because both of us 9 times out of 10 agree with what the other says. So that makes it easy. And I love having you on, buddy. And I just wish I wish we lived closer together that we could hang out more often. But, say la vie, that's the way it is. Actually, if we did live closer together, you'd probably be sick of me. So I have that effect on people. But hey, this was episode 163. It was great. Rusty, last words to you, my man.
I think what Damien and I are really trying to get across with our last topic point there was just that there's more to this sport. The sport has more to offer than just an end result. Then as you mature as a waterfowler, the end result will change. You'll see it. You might not see it now,
Mm-hmm.
but it will. Last thoughts. Now I have to ponder. Just keep having fun.
Yeah.
That's really all about. Um, don't take it too serious. Enjoy your time out there. We all know it's limited. And just, for whatever reason it makes you connect with nature, just keep chasing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just
That's my
like you
last.
said, just like you said, man, 8 months of the year, we're sitting around, can't wait for Can't wait for opener to come so you can be on the road scouting and driving around and hunting birds. And then listen, don't wish your time away. Enjoy every day that you get out of those 4 months that the season is open, because God knows it'll be over before you know it, and you're back to, oh, remember that hunt that morning? Yeah, those memories. Everybody, this is the Union 0430. Like we always say, we're not experts. We'll never pretend to be. Just a bunch of people that love hanging out, talking about bird hunting. And as always, don't be douchebags to one another. Big love. Talk to you next week.